Hey everyone, happy Monday. Happy Power Lunch Hour, episode 3. Thank you to everyone who's been tuning in every week. I'm really excited that we're on episode 3 now, which is really exciting. So I'm very excited to talk about a really interesting topic today before I have my guest on, who I'm also very excited about. But basically, this is something that's kind of come up for me a few times now. Just in terms of my business in the last 4 years, and then I've seen topics about this online. So it was something that I kind of wanted to talk about because I think, if you're an entrepreneur, you would really understand, the situation and how hard it is for a lot of entrepreneurs to, discuss this topic, because it's something that, again, it's kind of a difficult situation and a challenging situation. So I'm going to talk about how to set boundaries with your clients. As a business owner, obviously you want to make sure everyone is always happy, that your clients are always happy. But, sometimes you do get those, particular clients that, maybe pushing some boundaries and causing stress for you, causing stress for your business. So, as a business owner, sometimes you do have to say no to your clients and to people to keep that peace. So, to start off, I think the number one thing that we need to look at is, how do you define the boundaries that you're setting? So, number one, ask yourself, what is stressing you out? What is eating at you? What are the things that are causing, the everyday stress that you're not able to do your work properly, or your business, or run your business properly? So things like, when are you available to your clients? How can clients contact you? Are you looking at, only sticking to emails? Are you giving them your cell number? What is your response time? Are you, like me, I like to give people responses right away. But, that's something that you need to define for yourself. So what is your response time? Is it something that you respond to right away? Is it something that you kind of give some time and wait? What are your payment terms, for example? That's a big one for entrepreneurs, first of all, because, obviously you want to get paid right away. But sometimes there's, clients who kind of take their time. So, all these things are things that you need to kind of just set in the beginning. So, now that you've figured out, okay, these are my boundaries, these are things that I need to kind of define for myself and for my business. So how do you go about acknowledging this and actually putting it in place? So obviously the number one thing is communicate effectively with your clients. So I can't stress this enough. Have the conversations early on. It doesn't have to be a formal conversation. It could be a casual conversation about, things like, for example, letting them know, okay, I just want to let you know that my business hours are from 9 to 5. Sometimes as entrepreneurs, we tend to work past the 9 to 5 mark. And, I found myself answering phone calls at 10 o'clock at night. And you have to set those boundaries yourself. You have to figure those out yourself, because if you're okay answering phone calls at 10 o'clock and it doesn't stress you out, that's fine. But if that's something that, is starting to eat at you, make those decisions early on. Are you someone who's going to answer phone calls on the weekends? Are you someone who's going to answer phone calls past 6 o'clock? That's fine if you are, but if you're not, set those boundaries and communicate them effectively in the beginning so that there are no surprises. And of course, there's always an exception to every rule. If there is an emergency, if you're okay with your clients calling you around that time, then that's fine. Again, you get to define those boundaries. So yeah, have these conversations early on, again, so that there are no surprises. Say no and mean it. When your clients are, pushing certain boundaries, for example, again, I know I keep referring back to the phone calls, but that's something that I struggled with, because I was always someone who wanted to be available to my clients at any point of any day of any week. So that was a big challenge for me. but you know, if you're gonna set those boundaries and you're gonna say no, actually stick to them. You know, don't be like, okay, I'm not gonna take phone calls on the weekend, and then go back on your word and take phone calls on the weekend, because then you're setting a precedent, right? Like, you're telling them that it's okay for them to break those boundaries, and you know, you're basically showing someone how to treat you. So I think it's so important to stick with what you say, because then that determines that like relationship, and it also shows them how you know how you want to be treated and how you want to be respected in that situation. So say no and mean it. Also be reasonable with what you're asking for and have something to back it up. And what I mean by that, if say a client's asking something out of the ordinary, say they're like, you know what, I need this done by, you know, in a week from now because so and so and so. If it's reasonable, you know, it's up to you again to figure out like what you want to do with that situation. But if it's a reasonable request, then like ask yourself, okay, is this okay to like break certain boundaries or whatever? Or like, is this okay? Is this going to stress me out? And if it's not, if the answer to that is not, then that's fine. Also, like, another way to determine that is if this particular client has always been a great client and they're asking this request, like, you know, they're not someone who asks for like crazy requests all the time, then, you know, it's up to you again to determine if that's okay with you or not, you know, because I have certain clients that I'm just like, okay, like they ask for this thing, it's completely fine. It's not something that they ask for all the time, so I'm okay with that. But then there's other clients who, you know, may constantly be pushing deadlines or asking for unreasonable requests. And that's when you kind of have to question it and be like, okay, is that okay that they're asking for this all the time? Is this causing my business stress? Am I not able to operate properly because this person is constantly asking for unreasonable requests? So, you know, again, determine what's reasonable and what's not. And again, that's up to you. That's how you run your business. So you get to decide. And that's the beauty of it, is that you have the power to decide that. Like I said, with the communicating early on, it's good to set the expectations early and consistently. So, you know, for me, at least, what I've learned to do is include these expectations in my contracts. So basically, in the contracts, I'll say, you know, I only answer, I take Saturdays off, for example. So like that's there in the contract. It's been set. They know about it. Or say I'm only delivering these many results for this month, you know, so that there are no surprises. And again, legal contracts are everything, because then you can always go back. If they complain or anything, you can always go back and you can, you know, reference a legal document, right? So set those expectations early, put them in a contract, and be consistent. Again, the consistency. So like, don't go back on your word. If you're saying that you're not, you know, responding to things on the weekends, don't respond to things on the weekends. It's just as easy as that. Again, exception to every rule. If there's an emergency, if there's a certain situation that comes up, that's fine, but don't do it often enough that like they start to break those boundaries with you, you know? This one is a hard one. Be done with the guilt. I know this for a fact, because obviously, like, as a business owner, you want to please your clients. You want to make them happy. You want to make sure that they get the best out of your service. But the thing is, like, they will get the best out of your service, right? Because they are hiring you for a reason. And if there are certain things that, again, is disturbing the peace in your business, that's not necessarily like, you know, that doesn't necessarily define like the work that you do. So just, it's hard to say, it's easier said than done, but if you say no, just be done with the guilt and move forward. And the last thing that I want, and again, this is something that I'm still learning and a lot of people I know are learning, is don't be afraid that if these clients are breaking boundaries, or if they're, again, causing stress in your situation and your business, don't be afraid to fire a client. And that's something that I've learned along the way. And it just means being comfortable saying no to them and saying no to projects that are not aligned with you and with your business. Because at the end of the day, you have your own vision for your business. You have your own vision of what you want to do for your business. So like, you get to decide that, you get to determine that. So, you know, at the end of the day, it's just going to make your business stronger. It's going to make you a stronger business owner, and it's going to have people respect you even more. Clients will respect you more if you set those boundaries. And it's okay, again, to say no. It's okay to say no to clients. anyways, hopefully those tips helped you. I'm happy to talk more about them, but in less than a minute, I'm really, really excited to welcome my guest, Kassius. He's actually my first male guest, so I'm really, really excited about this. He is awesome. I can't wait to talk to him about his business, and he's a personal coach, so I'm also excited to talk to him about mental health, with men. It's something that's not really spoken about that often, so I'm really, really excited to talk to him about all these things, talk to him about his business. So yeah, we're gonna have lots to talk about, so yay! Just going to accept. Thanks to everyone who's joined so far. Hi DW, I see you. Hey Kassius!
Hi, how are you? How you doing?
I'm so good. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday to you.
Look at you and your dapper self, always.
Hey, I only know one way to do it.
Well, it's a better Monday now because we're chatting, and I'm so excited. You're my first male guest, so it's an honor. It's an honor to have you on here.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure.
Yay. So, I want to start off by having you tell us about yourself and about your business and what you do.
I'm Kassius Denizen, founder of Mr. Kaizen Lifestyle Consulting Services. I'm both a life coach and a clothier, so I like to say I help men from the inside out. So I help get your mind right, and then we figure out what your visual imaging is going to be, and then I help you present that to the world. So that's my job now. That's my calling. That's what gets me up every day now.
I love that, and I love that it's like the inside and out.
Inside out, yeah.
Right, because at the end of the day, like if we look good on the outside but we don't feel good on the inside, what's the point?
And it falls apart really quickly.
Right?
Really, really quickly. You can only dress up ugly for so long before the ugliness starts coming through. It's just
That's a good quote. I love that.
Yeah. You can only dress up ugly for so long.
I love
that. With my clients, the ones that are specifically coaching clients, I like to remind them, because they will come and they're like, I need a makeover. And I'm like, well, what you really need is to figure out who you are, and then we can figure out how we visually message that to the rest of the world. So
that's
great. What I do.
And so what inspired you to start the business, and what was like the driving force for that?
I always liked clothing. I'm a traditionalist when it comes to, I'm a suit and tie and polished shoes kind of guy. So I always had a passion for fashion. I studied it, learned about it, but this business started off as just image consulting. And basically I was dressing up ugly. And then I realized a lot of my clients, what really brought it home, what changed the direction of the business and made it more inside out, two friends of mine committed suicide. And these were guys that, one had his own business, one was an attorney. On the outside, these were guys that seemed to be perfectly fine, had dinners with them. There was no indication that life wasn't perfect. And within 5 months of each other, they committed suicide.
Wow.
So it really made me do a deep dive on not only the people that were around me, but really who were the people around me and what was really going on underneath the facade of looking like everything is okay. And so I started to study life coaching and just the inner workings of the male mind specifically. And so then the business became morphed not only in helping you get your visual messaging out, but let's get whole. Let's make everything from the inside just to match the outside.
First of all, I'm so sorry to hear that, but I think it's so wonderful that, it was something that you kind of saw as a way to help other people. And I think that's incredible because, sometimes when tragedy happens, like we feel so lost and we don't know what to do. But I love that you turned that into your business, essentially.
It made me that exactly what it was. It was coping for me because I couldn't believe one of them I had just had dinner with them the night before. And so there was a lot of guilt. There was a lot of, how did I not see this? And so I needed to understand better, which led me to study it, and then I decided I was going to incorporate it into the business. I wasn't just going to be about dressing people and making them look good.
Right.
Let's get everything on the same page, as I was working on myself as well. So
Right.
it was all therapy that turned into a beautiful thing that I'm doing now on a daily basis.
Yeah, no, I love that. So what have been, I mean, I get, like with any business, like what have been some challenges that you faced along the way, and how did you overcome those challenges?
As you know, as an entrepreneur, there's always challenges. Everything from financing to people taking you seriously. I was known for more in the event management space, so people couldn't wrap their minds around, well, how are you trying to help guys, when partying and being popular in the party scene was part of what you did. But what it did give me was a certain insight that they couldn't understand. I saw guys in all walks of life, in all state of minds.
Mm-hmm.
So those were some of the bigger challenges. Then I said I wanted to have a store. Got that. COVID ended that. It's funny. I look at challenges now less as problems
Mm-hmm.
and just opportunities to pivot, to change, to grow, to move in a different directions. Because sometimes we get stuck in thinking this is the way we have to do the business, and this is what's in my mind. And no matter what anybody says from the outside, you're kind of laser focused on what you think is the avenue to success. The challenges help sometimes knock you over
Mm-hmm.
so that you get back up in a different way.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's crazy because, with COVID, right? Like we've all had to kind of pivot and kind of had to figure out like how to make this work for ourselves. And I think sometimes with challenges, like we kind of get stuck and we get lost in that thought of like, okay, like, but I can't, like, how do I do it so that it was the same as before? And how do I do it so that like my business keeps going? But it's like, we don't even know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Exactly. You hear a lot of people, I can't wait until things get back to normal. I'm like, sorry, hon.
Yeah.
That's done. That's gone. That's not, there's no normal that we're going back to. We're going to have to keep creating and keep rethinking, keep remanaging how we do things going forward. I keep having these conversations with people where COVID is a terrible thing.
Mm-hmm.
COVID has taken lives. It's changed lives. But it also has been a good thing. It allowed a lot of people to pivot, to decide that they no longer wanted to be an employee. They wanted to be an entrepreneur. There's so many good things that also came from COVID. And it's just a matter of how you frame it. Like for me, some would think, because I had to close my store permanently because of COVID. And, friends were just like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, I'm not. It was like, it allowed me to breathe a sigh of relief and really dive more into the coaching side of the business than just the clothing and waiting for customers to walk into the space. And don't get me wrong, I love what I do.
Yeah.
But the coaching side was suffering because I always had to be at the shop.
Mm-hmm.
And then the headaches of, paying lease and all this stuff was always there. So it allowed me a freedom to do what I do in a more, I had to get more creative. And it's been very free.
I love that. I love that. And like, honestly, like even just with some offices, right? Like, I feel like sometimes it's a blessing in disguise for a lot of people because it's less expenses for them with their business. Right. And then they're able to really like refocus and like, what is it that I really want to do? What do I really want to focus on in terms of how to grow my business? And I think you're right. In a lot of ways, it was a bit of a blessing in disguise for a lot of people, which is incredible.
It bore a lot of creativity. It bore a lot of ways to do things and reimagine things. And I'm excited to see how we all come out of this and how we do things in a different way. And I think it made us get back in touch with our humanity too, but that's a whole other topic.
That's another conversation. We could talk about that for hours, right?
There you go.
I want to go back to what you were talking about, what inspired your business. And it's really, I think for me, from what I'm observing from you, you really are focused on men's mental health. And
absolutely.
I think that's so incredible because again, this topic is still so taboo. As much as we're talking more about mental health and
Yeah,
all these things with men, it's still such a taboo topic that they don't
right.
really want to talk about. You know, there's this toxic masculinity of like, I need to be strong.
Well,
I'm the provider. Like, I need to do this. It's like, talk to me about men's mental health. What stigmas are you hoping to break? What do you want to tell the men out there?
I mean, you don't find James Bond crying over his martini. Most men want to be James Bond. So we have this idea of what we're supposed to be, and society tells us all how we should act and what we should do. So I mean, there's a reason why we're 4 times more likely to be successful at suicide than women. It's the only thing we really beat you guys at. When we decide we're going to kill ourselves, we get it done. It sounds like just a number, but it's so real and it's so surreal that it you put on this armor. Most men put on this armor of we don't want to cry. We refer to hopelessness and depression as stress, and we one don't want to talk to anybody about it. And if we do talk to anybody, we're only sharing pieces of it. So we never really do a deep dive into the things that really affect us. And we're just as emotional, just as needy, just as have our moments of weakness, just like women. But we've been taught to cover it up, and you know, it's easier for us to drink it away, sex it away, or find some other distraction to not deal with it. And it's the not dealing with it that's driving us to kill ourselves. Because it comes to a point where now you are so hopeless in not living up to this image that you think you have to live up to. Then what's the alternative? Let's just get out of here. Let's take the off ramp. And for me, that drives everything I do right now. On my own personal mental health journey, I want to help other guys realize that it is okay to say, I'm not well, I'm not 100%. Let me talk to somebody, let me get some help, let me figure out how to do this and do it better. Because pretending isn't going to get you there.
And wouldn't you say that's the most challenging part for most men, is the admitting part of saying I'm not okay?
Admitting weakness is distasteful to most men. I mean, it's just, and it's not even your own thing, because the way society is structured, you know, a woman doesn't want a man that's crying about his feelings. It's those that women are part of that whole dynamic of making men feel like they have to live up to this image. So again, you spend your time playing this part versus really being healthy and really being well. So admitting that is the biggest part of the taboo. Once you admit it, asking for help is easier.
Right.
But admitting it is part of the problem. Most men won't, even if they feel it, even if they know it, they try to figure out some other way to overcome it and actually getting help.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing, is that, you know, like I said, we are as a society moving into that space of we're talking more about mental health. But I think there's still this part of society, even culturally, to be honest. Like, I'm Filipino, and in my culture, you do not talk about mental health, especially men, right? Because you look at men as the provider, you look at the men as the people that have to be strong for their families, they have to carry the family. So I think it's so interesting that, you know, even if we're still having these conversations, there's still that stigma of men being afraid to say, I'm not okay, I need help. Where do I even start?
Try being a black man, where the whole image of blackness as a black man is being tough, and you know, you can run through a wall and nothing hurts you. You're super this and super that, and therapy in the black community it's now getting better, but nobody talks about having a therapist. What's wrong with you? Seriously, people look at you and go, "What's wrong with you?" Well, this and this. That's why. But it's frowned upon. It's looked down on in the black community, especially for black men to be saying, and that's what I'm trying to normalize. I want to normalize saying I'm doing the work to make myself better. What could be better? To me, there's nothing more manly than trying to be your best self.
Yes.
And if you need to get help to do that, then get it.
Absolutely. And I love that you said that you're working on yourself to set an example, right? Because I think that's where it starts, right? You know, people see one person doing the work and they see the difference in you. They see how you've grown. They see how this is helping you. So it's leading by example. And
Absolutely.
I mean, I love the work that you do because I think you're doing a lot of great work for not
Thank
just
you.
for men, but even just the people around those men. I think we
Right,
forget
right.
that part too, right? Because a lot of the times it's the people around you that you're also affecting if you don't seek help.
And it's always, and that's part of it. That's where your support system comes from.
Yeah.
It's the people around you. So if the people around you allow you the grace to
Yes.
grow in the way that you need to grow, it becomes so they're stronger men for you, for their children, for their friends, for everybody. It's
Yes.
just better than keeping these people in these boxes and closets that is killing them literally,
Yeah.
and making our communities on a whole sick, more sick. A lot of the abuse, a lot of everything you see that is negative is from men not being the best selves and
Right.
feeling and allowing the pressure to build up until they do things that people just don't find attractive anymore.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. And honestly, like, again, the work that you're doing is so important because even as you mentioned, as a black man, it's so important to have these conversations and be that example for other black men to seek help if they need it, right? So,
Right, right.
yeah. So I love that. But I want to pivot to another question. Back to your
Sure.
business.
Okay.
I want to know because I love hearing everyone's success moments. That aha moment where you're like, "Holy crap! Like I did something, and now I feel like I'm there." So, what was an
Right.
aha moment for you that you're like, "Wow, this is like a moment that I won't forget, like a successful moment in my business that I won't forget."
There've been several. I mean, getting a shop in Yorkville was one of my bucket list things. That to me was like, damn, I was overjoyed. But the ones that really sink in is when I help a coaching client, and they have a breakthrough, and their lives are changed forever, and a year later they're messaging me going, man, I can't believe how much better my life is. Those are the moments that give me the most joy. Again, the clothing side of it, I love it, but it's not as fulfilling as the breakthroughs that I have with some of my clients.
Oh my God, I can't even imagine. I think like again, like we said in the beginning, like the clothing stuff is great, but that's all external and it
Yes.
looks great and all that stuff. But I think it's when you
Yeah.
actually feel like you've changed someone's life, I'm sure feels like, holy moly, this is why I do
And,
what I
and
do.
then you put them in a suit that complements that newfound version of themselves. That is a moment that you feel pride. You feel like what you do means something. It's not just selling a suit. It's the whole process that brings a guy along, and you see, and like I've had mothers call me. I've had ex-girlfriends call me. I've had just like thank you, because the change in the client has been so
Wow.
profound that in those moments, I mean, you can't buy that. That any day that I wake up and I'm not feeling 100%, I'm not feeling as grateful. I remember those moments, and I'm like, you have nothing to complain about. Go out there and help somebody else, and let's move on and let's do this. So
That's
that's
amazing.
those are the high points for me in the business right now.
That's amazing. And I absolutely love that because I think it's when you found work that you feel like you're making a difference in someone's life, whatever
Yeah.
that work is, whether it's
Right.
fashion, whether it's, personal coaching, in your case, both,
Both.
I think is incredible because
Yeah.
why do we do what we do?
Why do we do what we
Why
do?
are we on this earth, right? It's like, let's find a way to help one another, so.
And I keep telling people, for me, the business for me is my big therapy class for myself.
Yeah, I
Because
can imagine.
everything that I try to do for guys is what I'm doing for myself, making myself better in all the areas that I
Yes.
think I have weaknesses. Trying to be a better friend, trying to be a better man, trying to be a better entrepreneur. Just everything is about improving on every day.
Yes.
And the mistakes of yesterday, I don't dwell on them. I use them as an example. All right, so don't do that again. Not keep poking myself with arrows, which as men, we do that a lot. We get stuck on our worst mistake, and we allow that to frame us, and people use it to frame us. And that cycle is what helps pushes us into this darkness that we sometimes can't get out of. So my whole thing is this business is my big therapy session, and if I can help people along, then it's golden for me. It's great.
It's a bonus. You get to help
Yeah.
yourself and you get to help others. So it's perfect.
There you go. There you go.
So I actually want to end this session, by the way, with some with a cool
This was
question.
fun. We got to do this again.
I know, right? I'm like, it went by so fast. I'm like, it always goes by so fast. But as the expert in this situation, can you tell us 5 staple items that men need to keep in their closet? I feel like all the men are going to be taking notes. So
you got to understand, though, I'm a big closet guy. So
I know.
I'm going to be telling you things that
I'm challenging you. I'm challenging you.
Okay. This should be known, and if it's not known, please write it down. Every man should have a navy suit in their closet, dark navy suit, not
Why
black.
Navy? Why navy?
Navy, because men always assume black is the color that goes with everything in play. Nah, it's navy. Your dark navy suit can do the funeral, it can do the job interview, it can do the date, it can do the weddings, it can do everything. It's the most versatile piece you're going to have in your closet. Once you get from that, a well-fitting shirt. I have a body that doesn't do off the rack because of not just because I'm bougie, but because of the way my body, I have long arms, my shoulders are wide. Like it's just not going into the store to buy a shirt. So get a custom shirt or a few custom shirts made. You'll feel better. They last longer. Have them dry cleaned and take good care of them. Get a light blue and a white, and then you can get a pattern just to funk it up a little bit. Get some denim. Yes. I'm a big fan of Levi's. There's a reason they've been doing it and doing it well for so long. Don't be afraid to take your jeans to the tailor to get it tailored, trim it, cut it off. Like, no skinny jeans, though.
Oh, wow.
It should be fitted, not... No self-respecting man should be in skinny jeans. That's just a personal thing. Okay. I've had clients show up and I'm like, no, I'm seeing all your business. I shouldn't have to see that in your jeans. Your jeans should fit you properly, not be tight and revealing portions of you that you get it.
Got it.
And a great denim shirt or a light denim jacket for those casual that you can do so much with them. There's so many different options. There's artists out there doing some great stuff with designing denim jackets and even jean shirts. So that's always a good piece. Jewelry is a personal taste. I never like telling guys to wear jewelry. I am a big jewelry guy.
The bling.
But every man should have a nice watch. That's just a staple. And don't go above your budget. Buy what you can afford. Make it nice, make it say something about you, and then graduate. Use the watch to talk about how you're moving up in life, whether it's career, what you're earning, all that. Don't jump the gun. We're not dressing to impress. We're dressing to state facts about where we are right now.
Love
and it
that.
Can be nice. It can be nice, but don't break the bank.
So no Rolex on the first paycheck is what you're saying.
There you go. Make it a graduation system. This is where I'm at. This is where I'm at. This is where I'm at. And then shoes. Guys, a lot of guys don't put enough into their shoe investment. Just like women, first of all, I don't understand how you don't have more than 10, 15, 20 pairs of shoes. I think you should have a pair of shoes to fit every outfit.
Yes.
Or if you're going to stick with the staples, then make sure you have a brogue, you get a wingtip, a black, a brown, tan. And if you can't invest the time to clean them, take them somewhere to get them clean.
Yes.
Dirty shoes are not a good look.
No. I agree with that.
So I think that was 5, wasn't it?
Yes,
Shirt,
that was 5.
Navy suit, denim. There you go. All right.
Absolutely perfect. I hope the men are taking notes because I agree with everything you said. I love the watch comment though. I love that you can use that as a way to kind of tell a story of where you are at in your life. You know, some people live out of their means and they buy stuff that they can't afford. So.
Or they get the fake stuff because they're trying to pretend to be And those of us that know can see it a mile away, and it just makes you look bad. Versus if you get something nice within your price range. And watch companies are doing some beautiful thing with watches now. So you can get them from the very price range that suits who you are, where you're at. Again, it's a message you're sending out, not a pretense. And that's the whole idea.
I love it. Live your most authentic self and still look fly. You're good, right?
That's it. That's it.
Kassius, let everybody know where they can find you, how they can find your business, how they can refer you to other people that need your services. Please plug away.
The website is www.meetmrkaizen.com. The name of the business, funny enough, I'll use this as a last little plug. So Kaizen is a Japanese business philosophy. It means improvement in small steps, which is what I want all guys to do, make improvements in small steps. And then I realized it literally, when designing the logo, that it's the first 3 letters in my first name and the last. So it just made it more, meaningful. So meetmrkaizen.com, Meet Mr. Kaizen on IG, Meet Mr. Kaizen on Twitter. My personal IG is I am Kassius. Referrals, just info@meetmrkaizen.com if you want to send me an email, or you can go on the website. I do free initial consults just to see if we're a good match, because not every client is a good match. And for clothing, I make killer tuxedos. That's just a fact.
for all your tuxedo needs, go to Kassius.
There you go.
We love it. Kassius, thank you for your time, for your energy, for just having a great chat today. Loved it. Loved all your tips. Love your journey, and thank you.
I look forward when we can do this in person with actual food.
Yes,
okay.
We're gonna do it.
You're amazing. Thank you for the invite. I appreciate you. Have a fantastic Monday.
Happy Monday. Bye.